today. So going to give everyone a chance to introduce themselves and their company. So Adena, let's start with you.
Great. Thanks so much, Lindsay. Hi, everyone. Super excited to be here today. My name is Adena. I am partnerships team lead here at Okendo. And Okendo is a customer marketing platform that helps brands leverage reviews, surveys, and continuous customer insights to drive revenue through increasing on-site conversions, collecting valuable zero-party data, and just enabling better customer experiences.
Great. And Kara.
Hi, everyone. My name is Kara Morin, and I am on the customer success team at Postscript, which is an SMS marketing platform exclusively for Shopify merchants. Prior to being at Postscript, I was actually also on the brand side as head of marketing e-commerce.
Perfect. And Aaron.
Hey everyone, Aaron Dungca here representing Rebuy. I'm the Director of Merchant Success. Rebuy is a personalization engine. We provide a suite of personalization tools to ensure that customers are getting the right products offered at the right time, allowing brands to convert more customers and keep them coming back for more.
Perfect. And Yvette.
Hi, everybody. My name is Yvette Muller with Friendbuy, and Friendbuy is a referral marketing platform that really helps you take word of mouth marketing to the next level and rewards friends and the people who refer them for helping to build your brand. Before being on the Friendbuy side, I was on the brand side as well. So I'm super excited to join the team.
And last, certainly not least, Jess.
Hi, everyone. I'm Jess Servion. I am head of customer experience at Feastables. For those of you who may not know Feastables is a Mr. Beast brand. We are a better for you snack company, and that's me.
Perfect. Well, of course, we're here today to talk about post-purchase. So kicking off kind of our first question, a customer makes a sale. You've accomplished your goal, you've got the sale, but why should brands actually care about what happens post-purchase? So let's start with you, Yvette.
Yeah, so if you think about your customer and the customer journey, as soon as they're done clicking complete purchase, they're the most excited and the most engaged because they're like basically waiting for the UPS truck to just kind of like pop up on the side of the road and deliver their item, right? They're just so excited. So having a post-purchase strategy at the end of the order gives you the opportunity to really layer in a message to them because they're going to remember it. And they're going to really take the time to read what's on the screen before they click off because they want to know about shipping and what to expect next. So it's the best time to, mention upsells or, other offers, prompt for a review if it's a returning customer or even a referral.
Great. And Kara, what do you think about this?
Yeah, so I think that it's a great time, in addition to everything Yvette said, to capture some data from the customer that you might not already have. So not just first name or where they're from, but what type of products they're interested in, who they are purchasing for. And I think also just getting them hyped on the journey. So a lot of that can be conversational, things can be done via SMS, but an example I love is Kalo, which is one of our clients. They send this really awesome text, like showing a picture of the founder with a package in hand saying, we're packing up your stuff, getting it delivered. And that just is really touching to me. And it's so exciting and makes me want to check the mail every hour.
Great. Yeah, we're going to get into personalization in a little bit too, but just that idea of getting someone excited is just an essential part of that post-purchase strategy. Aaron, what are your take on why brands should care about post-purchase?
Yeah, so the post-purchase experience is so important and might be like underthought of in a lot of instances. Kind of like the big thing that a lot of brands are looking at Rebuy for is offering a upsell or a cross-sell post-purchase as well. So directly after the customer has checked out, as Yvette mentioned, like adrenaline is high, the customer is super stoked to have just purchased from your brand. And by offering a one-click post-purchase upsell, basically a lot of brands are uncovering, revenue that would have otherwise been left on the table. The other thing, as we look at personalization later on, is Collecting some more data from that customer and being able to segment that customer into the right place based off of their purchasing behavior or perhaps their customer persona, so that you can then personalize the experience to that specific segment of a returning customer more effectively and give them a great experience to come back again as well and increase that lifetime value.
Great. And Adena, I know we can, from the Okendo side, kind of talk about that as well in terms of the data that you can collect. So what's your take on that?
Yeah, absolutely. I think kind of going off of what everyone else is saying, the customer's super excited. They've purchased from you. They're engaged. They're waiting for that tracking number. And really, what's more important than collecting that customer feedback? Where did they hear about you? How could you improve that experience of checking out or purchasing? And so having something like a post-purchase survey to collect that data, to collect that feedback is really important. We see that having a survey on that post-checkout page has a really, really high engagement and completion rate. And so it's kind of a no-brainer to ask your customers at that point any sort of information that you want to collect. Another thing as well is collecting product feedback. And that would be during the review process. So sending your customer a review request and getting that information around how they interacted with your product, would they recommend your product, and then showcasing those reviews on your website, super important. So collecting zero-party data that you can also then use for more personalized communication moving forward. We know, with CAC going up and retention being a stronger focus right now, these data points are even more important to capture.
Great. Yeah, absolutely. And then Jess, taking that kind of from the brand side, why do you as a brand care about the post-purchase? Like, why is that an important part of the buyer's journey for you?
Yeah, I think everybody pretty much hit on the why of, collecting the data, but where I actually put that into action from post-purchase strategy is we do the post-checkout surveys, but and we'll get into personalization, but I survey based on the types of products that people purchase. So if we're going to do a bundle or a special drop, I want to know information in that post-purchase journey about what are the drivers, why did this person come, whether you're a new customer or returning customer. And then, again, just hammering home on the engagement, we find that our post-purchase experience, whether that's through a survey, upsells, any of that, anything that speaks to the immediate actions that a customer has had, we see so much engagement with it. So for us, that post-purchase journey is honestly the single most important part of the journey, because that's where we are between you getting it in hand, understanding why you purchased it, and what's going to drive you to make more purchases in future.
Great. Yeah. And I love that. I think what you hit on the idea of the customer lifetime value and that being the highest engagement point is really just as we said, it's the beginning. The sale is the beginning. It's not necessarily the end goal. It's really the beginning of, where you could take your relationship with that customer. So on to the next question. I know Adena and Jess, you guys kind of mentioned, that customer survey right after checkout, that post-checkout survey. It's something we really commonly see. As you're a customer, you check out kind of right after that checkout, you see a question there. So starting with Adena, why is this such a common point in the journey to ask these questions? And then what can you actually do with that survey data?
Great question. And I think, Jess, you said it so well. Having that post-purchase kind of experience or journey optimized, and that channel in particular is one of the most important parts of the customer journey. So honestly, to your point as well, we see much higher engagement and completion rates when surveys are shown on the post-checkout page. Again, your customer has already shown interest, they bought from you, and they're going to spend some time on that checkout page looking for more information or any order details. So having that survey specifically on that channel is super important. And what we've seen is, upwards of a 50% completion rate on those types of surveys. So you can collect customer feedback at this point in the customer journey and get insights that can then affect, the customer coming back, as well as experiences of future customers. So different types of surveys that you can have on your post-checkout page are pretty broad. You can have Net Promoter Score survey so you can understand, how do your customers like your customer journey, or how do they like your brand? How have they engaged with your brand? Asking these types of questions really help dig deeper into who are your detractors, what didn't work with them, what can we improve with our brand, and also who are your promoters? Where else would they purchase from you? What other products could you maybe upsell? Another really great point in that post-checkout experience is asking your customers where they heard about you. And that sort of gives you insight into potentially where you could be funneling in more marketing spend. If your customers are hearing about you from TikTok ads, you might want to explore, putting more spend into that channel specifically. So that's really important insight, not just into who your customer is and why they like your brand, but also where did they hear from you and how can you find more customers that look like that. This is also a great way for contextual targeting. So tailoring the questions that you're asking post checkout to the audience based on the insights and the data that you want to receive.
And Jess, I know you have a lot to talk about that and how you've been doing it. So how have you been using kind of that post-purchase survey on the Feastables side?
Yeah, so I kind of hit on this a little bit already, and I probably will hit on this throughout every question, but we utilize our post-checkout surveys to understand that audience. So, you can ask the basic things of where did you come from? Some very basic questions, but I want to get a little bit deeper than that. I actually ask demographic information. My audience is, can range from whether you're a 17-year-old to a 35-year-old or a parent or grandparent, right? I want to understand who you are in our audience. I want to understand why you purchased it, who did you purchase it for? And then I actually, because I see so much engagement in this survey, I actually ask information on what we're thinking about for product innovation. So maybe we're thinking about coming out with a new snack, and here I add one question of hey, would you be interested in this type of snack? What are your favorite brands? I also, because we're just starting to go into retail, I also ask questions of where would you like to see us at and retailers? And I think that's a very good question to ask if you're a D2C brand looking to maybe target retail in the future, seeing where your audience wants to see you out in the wild at. So I really like to, these are the types of questions that I'm asking, but the other side of it is I actually like to ask these questions to new versus returning. I also ask a different type of post-checkout survey based on the product that you purchase. So for instance, we just launched a new merchandise product, right? Merchandise is very new for us. So I want to dig deeper into those questions of do you like merchandise? Would you like to see more merchandise? Who are you purchasing this for? And then, bringing this all back home, but collecting all of these points and this data actually creates a feedback loop into supply chain, into marketing, into the tech team. I'm not just asking simple, basic questions about how was your shopping experience? I want to ask 5 questions that are going to be heavy hitters for my customer research.
I love that. It's so interesting too, how you're saying it's that feedback loop that you can do to affect other parts of the business as well. And it's really about using those insights and making sure, as Adena talked about contextual targeting, making sure you're really asking the right questions for the right audience based on really the answers that you want to see there. So I think it's kind of a good transition to, personalization as well. And the idea of really using all that data, not only to impact, business operations, but also how can you collect that data about what the customer wants and give them, a personalized experience. So we know that personalization is the hot topic. We've been talking about it probably for the last year or two. And I don't really think it's going anywhere. It's just getting more important. So just kind of starting on that topic, Erin, what data should you be collecting or utilizing in that post-purchase stage in order to power the personalization that you need for the rest of the post-purchase journey?
Yeah, I love the insight that Jess gave us right here. So even thinking about those examples, based off of the types of questions, how will we understand what this customer's next step is going to be? And then based off of those answers, so for example, a customer is interested in X type of snack, how do we segment that customer and then personalize the experience on site, in the email, in the SMS, to that customer as well? So there's definitely like a fair mix of, using that zero-party data and informing how this is going to influence your merchandising strategy on site. And then also taking a look at all of the other data that you already have available to you. So as an example, like what this customer's purchasing history is like, what other customers who have also purchased what they purchase next as that next step as a returning customer. Maybe it is, where they came from, right? Like if they heard about you from an influencer, or if they came in from like a friend referral, how can we personalize that experience on site to truly reflect and get the customer, the right offer at the right time with the right messaging?
Of that. And then Adena, just in terms of collecting the data, what are some of those sources as well that you can get the data to power that personalization in the post-purchase phase?
Yeah, great question. So we really look at two, avenues for collecting that data. The first would be through reviews. It's such a natural and organic way to collect information directly from your customers, through sending a review request over email. You can also use text messages through Postscript to send the review request and collect that feedback. It's not invasive because your customer, it has already purchased from you, and you're also asking information that's relevant to your brand, the product that they purchased, etc. So that would be one avenue to collect that zero-party data. Another would be through surveys. These surveys can be shown to your customer, again, either on the post-purchase page. You can also show your customers a survey on site, triggered through a certain event, or if your customer's clicking around or maybe abandoning cart, you can collect information around why they've abandoned cart, what made them add that to cart, whatever sorts of questions you want to uncover, to Jess's point, to get that feedback loop to understand why your customers are engaging with you. And then what's really great is you can push all of that zero-party data. So anything around your customer, whether it's the size they purchase, their age, their skin type, their skin tone, you can push all of that information over into your ESP or your SMS platform for personalization and messaging. And I think, Erin, you mentioned something about upselling and being able to make, recommendations that are personalized. You can use that sort of customer attribute part of Okendo, collecting that customer information to make product recommendations to your customers via email or SMS.
Great.
Yeah, I love that. And sorry, one thing that I was just thinking of as you were chatting about that is like, so we talked about, okay, potentially collecting data around like what might customers be interested in. Like at Rebuy, like a lot of what we are looking to accomplish is like predicting what customers are going to want before they even know that too. So I think one thing to be really mindful of, as brands, if you're selling a particular product or solution that is solving for a specific thing too, like understanding what that customer is looking to solve with their purchase as well. And then you as the brand director can understand, okay, these are the main things that my customers are trying to solve. What are the complementary products that we can now get in front of this customer? And then what are the best mediums to be able to communicate this, whether that's through advertising or, SMS, email. So yeah, a few thoughts that came into my head when it comes to personalization and the types of questions that you may want to ask.
Great. Anyone else have thoughts on kind of, not just the data side, but how you can actually better personalize that experience post-purchase?
I think something that comes to mind for me is often we are focused on the immediate response when we're personalizing. So if somebody texts us back and says, hey, I have combination skin, so I want beauty recommendations for this, but then we forget to, use that down the road, not only for knowing like, hey, we have a product on sale that's really targeted towards combination skin, for example, but it's also with an inventory forecast. So if 30% of your customers are looking at combination skin products, but you only have one product for them and 20 products for dry skin, but that's only 5% of your total customer base. I think that helped me when I was on the brand side, also kind of reconfigure how I might forecast inventory in the future, what products to highlight in certain areas.
Great. And Jess, any thoughts from the brand side and how you guys are using that personalization?
Yeah, I mean, we also didn't I actually want to go back a little bit here because where we're also utilizing our personalization isn't just in post-checkout surveys. We're also utilizing our personalization in NPS surveys. I'm going to start doing like some on-site surveys, as well as like CSAT and CES through Okendo, and like starting to like really get into like personalizing and triggering those. But the reason I'm bringing that up is because the way I think about customer experience is customer experience, and it's not support. And the reason that's different is support is a reactive manner and customer experience is a proactive manner, right? So where I'm like utilizing like a lot of this information that I'm collecting is not just in like marketing campaigns and like segmenting and but I'm also utilizing this information to be 10,000 steps in front of my customer. So if like maybe I got something in like a post checkout, or not a post checkout, I'm sorry, in the NPS survey, right, that was like based around the type of product that this person purchased, and maybe what I got from that survey was something about they didn't really understand the product offering. For instance, here's a prime example: we sold a holiday bundle. We had a holiday bundle during like the holidays, and one of the benefits to this holiday bundle was if you purchase it, some of the proceeds actually went to a charity. But what I was gathering out of my NPS survey was, I asked a question like, did you purchase this because of this? Did you purchase this because you want to give back to this charity? And what I found was that, okay, people actually didn't get the message that some of these proceeds were going to go to charities. So in turn, what I took that information, and then for like new product offerings that we're going to be offering to charity, making sure that messaging is upfront, making sure that like we're answering the why for the customer at the time of buying and not just after the fact. And then from like an FAQ perspective, gathering information of like if somebody understood a product or didn't understand a product, and how can I play that back into maybe it's like my bot automations or my FAQs. Like there's just like plenty of opportunities to personalize and then like feedback loop into the rest of anything you do.
I love that. That's great. And it's so interesting too, like you said, to hear that it's, again, just going back to that idea of changing the experience based on the feedback of some to make that a better experience for others, and just really distinguishing, CX versus support, which I think is incredibly important. Great. So moving on to the next question, and I think this is in similar lines with personalization, but just in terms of post-purchase, again, now you have your customer, you want to keep them coming back. What are some of those tactics to make sure you're effectively communicating with them in the way that they want to be communicated with, in a way that's effective to get them to come back again? So Carrie, I think you as Postscript would probably be a great first taker at this one.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think obviously Postscript is an SMS marketing platform, so we are very much mobile only. And I'm sure as many of you have seen over the last handful of years, the ratio of people purchasing on desktop versus mobile shifted very heavily towards mobile, especially for younger audiences. And so I think just meeting them where they're at. I think we have this default tendency to rely on email for review requests, for example, or things like that. But I know in my experience, I'd much rather text a phone number, a photo of my product, whether it's a broken package or a selfie of me wearing my new t-shirt, than have to take the photo, upload it to my desktop, attach it to an email, send it that way. So I think just meeting customers on the platforms that they're at. So if you notice your traffic is 80% mobile, like trying to tailor your approach towards that. I think the second thing that is really important to us is being conversational. So I know there's many brands who, when I look at their text, it's always just like, save 10%, here's 20%, here's this, but how can you engage with them? And I think Jess, who's a very excellent client of Postscript, does this really well too. And a lot of what she said of how can we ask them for their feedback? Like, hey, what do you want to see next? Reply back 1, if you want to see this product, and 2, if you want to see this product. People love seeing those types of surveys, and also incentivizing them for engaging well with that channel. So if you see that they're always responding to your feedback and things like that, maybe offering a discount code for those who are regularly completing your surveys and giving you good customer data.
Great. I love that. And Adena, I know too, in terms of just getting that feedback, that two-way conversation, what are your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, Carrie, you talked about it really well. If someone's opted into receiving text messages, you should send them that review request via SMS. They've obviously told you that, you know, they like that channel for communication. So it's really about meeting your customers where they want to be, communicating with them where they've expressed to you that that's where they want to hear from you. So one strategy, again, sending those review requests or surveys via text message. We talked about this in great length, but you know, also getting that post-purchase survey or any type of survey to get that customer feedback as well, asking them, you know, where did they hear from you? What did they like about your product? What didn't they like about your product? Do they want to see more variety? Jess, you talked about asking your customers about the bundles or maybe potentially new product development. So that's always another really great method for communicating with your customers. And then really just making sure that you're talking to them, you know, on a multi-channel level, making sure you have surveys across all different points of the customer journey, potentially on site. Maybe you send survey links via text message, having a post-purchase survey, just making sure that you're really meeting your customers at each point of that journey.
And then Jess, anything for you to add there on the brand side?
Sorry, I couldn't find the mute or the unmute. I was like, you know, I think that sorry, I'm just like thinking through it and I apologize. This is, and then I got weird. I think that it really like honestly just goes back to exactly what I've been saying. It's like just personalizing, right? And like everything that I'm gaining from like surveying individuals is going to help me segment and cohort better. For Feastables, we offer so many different technologies in order to like communicate with our customers, right? So there's like so many different types of avenues of understanding our audience and being able to communicate with them effectively. I think that it's really important for just, yes, in a survey standpoint, like asking them, you know, personalized questions, but really understanding like like what our audience wants to hear. Like my audience is Gen Z, so it's like something that might work for a parent isn't going to necessarily work for a gamer, right? So I really need to get into the nitty-gritty of like understanding who it is that I'm talking to and then being able to like message to them appropriate. And I think that actually applies for every brand. If I was a skincare brand, maybe, you know, I'm selling to a millennial, or a Gen Z, which is two different types of audience. It's really just like personalizing, gathering that information to like drive into the right type of communication styles that your audience wants. Hopefully I answered that.
That was perfect. So going to our next question, I think like, you know, we've talked about getting the data. We've talked about, you know, engaging them immediately after. We've talked about personalization and meeting them where they are. But ultimately, kind of what we talked about, like the goal of this is to get either the customer to repurchase again, to get them to, you know, refer someone else, ultimately like to drive more sales. That's kind of why we're here today. So in terms of just those tactics that you could use or opportunities to encourage additional sales from first-time customers to increase lifetime value anytime throughout the post-purchase journey. What are those some of those opportunities? And Yvette, I think this is a good one for you to kick off with.
Yeah, absolutely. So as I mentioned, we see the post-purchase journey as one of the most important steps. In general, we know that people need to see a message 5 to 7 times before it clicks like, hey, I need to take action. So that post-purchase overlay for referral is really like a good adrenaline hit. Like, I'm going to remember this. And, you know, really in the transition and the things that we've seen in the economy lately, people are being more conscious about what they're buying. And even though they made a purchase today, there were things in their cart that they probably removed, right? And that they're saving for another time. So they're already thinking, well, if I still want this, how do I get a discount on this? And through Friendbuy with referrals, we say, hey, refer a friend and we'll give them X and then you'll get X. So we're already telling them, hey, if you refer a friend, you'll get a friend to get a discount. And then when they purchase, you'll get an additional discount to use at a later time. And so as they're thinking about their purchase, pretty much we all know somebody who would also benefit from something we bought, right? Like whether it's a shirt, skincare, like I can't wait to tell somebody about this new mascara I just got. So they're already thinking about that. And so in that instance, you're already getting them to think about who they can refer and then what they're going to buy again.
I love that. It's a double whammy. So it's a new purchase from a new customer as well as an additional purchase from an existing customer, which is all within the post-purchase of that one customer. Erin, what are your takes on this from the Rebuy perspective?
Yeah, so, as we kind of lean into Q1, retention is definitely top of mind for a lot of the brands that we're working with. They've just spent an incredible amount of effort and money in acquiring a bunch of customers during BFCM. So how do we get these customers to come back? And part of what we look at over here is like, okay, like what is the experience like for a returning customer, right? Is that the same? If I'm a regular at a coffee shop, like would I expect the experience to be the same as if I'm the first time visitor, right? So really making it, a unique and personalized experience depending on who the customer is based off of potentially the zero-party data that you've already collected. And then the other thing that we look at is like, how much friction is there for the customers to be able to purchase or to be able to have like high lifetime value? If you offer, a product that you can subscribe to that's replenishable, how easy is it for me as a customer to be able to reorder that, right? Like when it's time to reorder, am I being sent directly to the product detail page or am I getting sent directly to checkout? If you offer subscriptions, how easy is it for me to be a subscriber, even taking a step back, understand the benefits to subscribing, whether that's monetary savings for being a subscriber. So definitely looking at, making it easy for customers to repurchase, to discover products that are going to be relevant based off of their segment, based off of their purchasing history. And then making it really easy for them to convert and giving them a unique experience of the store too. One strategy that we've seen be really effective from a retention standpoint is the offering of gift cards. So this is something that we've seen a lot of brands do, as a post-purchase upsell. Sometimes this is, part of the post-purchase follow-up, or maybe this is something that's just highly merchandised on their online store. But the idea here is that, getting the gift card is basically guaranteeing a second order. And if you have a hero product and you're able to offer maybe a discounted gift card that is slightly below the price threshold for that hero product, basically you're guaranteeing that someone's going to come back and they're going to spend a little bit more to get the most out of that gift card as well too. And then, you're also solidifying some revenue up front too. So a few strategies that we're seeing being very popular right now.
Love that. And then Kara, from the Postscript side, how are you guys working to kind of secure that next sale?
Yeah, so I did want to comment on something based on what Erin said about the gift card. Is this was actually an idea given to me by a client at the end of last year, but I thought it was genius. But running a report based on who has revenue left on their gift card, it could be $1 left on a $100 gift card or $99 left, and sending them an email, maybe with a discount code, convincing them to spend their gift card. Because like what Erin said, 9 times out of 10 people spend more than what their gift card value is because they want to like juice as much of the gift card as possible. So I just wanted to tag on that. I think that's a great idea. In addition to that, I think something that was always a struggle for me on the brand side that I solved with SMS is it's a great opportunity to create and generate user-generated content. So I really struggled to get people to tag us on social media, to include photos on email, etc. But when I was able to say, just send a simple post-purchase text that says, hey, text us a selfie with your new product. And like, if we use your photo on Instagram, we'll send you $20 off or something like that. I generated probably 5 or 6 times more UGC than on any other channel combined. And so I think people love seeing, like, if you as a brand are able to share their photos. Personally, I think that that's like a fun little moment for me as a user. So I think that is a great way to just get people hyped on things, and then get them to be interested in purchasing more long-term. And A couple other things that come to mind. One, using the personalization that's available within SMS to really generate like some sort of exclusivity. So for example, having people, as soon as they purchase or receive their product, text the word VIP and we'll let you have early access to our next sale, something of that nature. I think that gets people really excited. Like, people love being called a VIP, whether they've purchased once or 20 times. And then lastly, and I think this has been mentioned by many people, is over probably the last year or so, the percent of clients I work with that are using some sort of subscription has increased exponentially. Like, brands that I thought never could turn any type of product into a subscription are, because they want that, monthly recurring revenue that's so much more predictable. So, t-shirt companies, bracelet companies, things that are making some sort of fun, like quarterly box, kind of like FabFitFun-esque. I think any product more or less could have something like that, whether it's monthly or semi-annually, but just anything that can be automated and recurring purchase is doing really well right now.
Yeah, I love that. I mean, I'm definitely guilty of overspending on my gift cards. Come the holidays, you think you have all these gift cards that everyone gave you, and you end up spending all this extra money that you didn't need to spend. But it is a great tactic because it does get me to spend more. Adena, what's your take kind of on like getting those additional purchases with, reviews, surveys, any of that?
I think everyone talked about it really, really well. Incentives are important when you are asking something of your customers. Give them an incentive to give that to you. So one of the biggest tips I can give you today is to set up some sort of incentive to collect reviews or customer responses via surveys. So one thing that we love to encourage at Okendo is tiering those incentives. So you can offer discount codes or coupons. You can also offer loyalty points through some of our loyalty and referral partners. So setting those up and then tiering them based on the type of review you're looking to collect. So let's say you are looking to collect more UGC. People love scrolling through those videos and those photos of your products in everyday settings. Potentially offering a higher discount code or more loyalty points for that type of review really does help collect more reviews. So tiering those incentives and those coupons, and then also setting those up on the survey level. If you're having an on-site survey, for example, if you're creating one of those to collect some sort of information on site from your customer, offering a 10% discount to complete that survey, that really does help drive a sale at the end of the day. And then you're also driving incremental revenue from someone returning, after they've left a review and they have that coupon code, returning and making another purchase. So it's really a win-win. And again, customers love incentives and they want to feel like you're giving them something in return.
Great. I love that. And then Jess is going to throw a little bit of a curveball, but I see there's already a question in the chat asking you about, are you using incentives for surveys? Like, how are you doing? How are you kind of determining like which ones to use it for, which ones to not? What's your strategy behind that?
I'm glad you asked me, actually, because I don't know how to chat in a Zoom call. So I don't even know if that went to the right person, but we do incentivize on MPS. And let me tell you, the reason I incentivize on MPS and not everything else is because MPS is actually a little bit harder to get, especially because I'm already asking like a post-checkout survey. If they're talking to in customer support, maybe there's like a CSAT, you want to bring them back for the MPS one, because the MPS survey is going to tell you all encompassing of the entire experience, right? So that's why I incentivize on that. And I do see a huge driver for that discount and a lot of people coming back on it. The other side of incentivizing that's actually free is I tell, for UGC reasons, for product reviews, I say hey, give us 5 stars. I mean, I know I sound like I'm surveying for an Uber ride right now, but give us 5 stars. Here we are. If you respond to this review, we will make you famous. We'll post you on our website. We kind of let them know what we're going to do with it. So that I've seen as a big incentivizing driver for people who are like really interested in like wanting to be online, right? The other thing that I was going to state is this is actually nothing to do with surveys. This is just like the reactive approach. So if I get a negative survey, whether it's like NPS or a product review, and let's say it's somebody who, like, I'm a snack brand. So let's say somebody who's like, oh, I was unsatisfied with the product taste or whatever it was, right? And we don't offer refunds, but instead I actually offer them a store credit or a gift card. And I have found that like responding to those surveys and offering them that gift card, there has been a huge driver of people coming back. So I know we're talking about like a proactive approach, but even after the fact of like, what do you do with these surveys? That's a strategy that we've been using.
Love to hear that too. We also always say like a negative review, it's not bad to show the negative reviews, it's how you respond to them and making sure, so giving a coupon and encouraging someone to come back because you gave them something, you made it right. I love that approach as well. That's great. Perfect. So moving on to the next question, and Jess, this one is definitely for you. We have 4 technologies here. We've been talking about post-purchase, personalization. How do you ensure that you have a seamless post-purchase experience with all of these different technology platforms?
Yeah. So, I mean, just in my house and like our CX org, like we have a ton of like tools because I have a very tiny team. I only have like 4 individuals on my team. So like I have to have automations, and I don't mean it in like a just working type of aspect, right? So for me, from an agent experience and just an experience over my company, I have to ensure that every tool integrates with each other. Everyone's talking to each other. And if they're not talking to each other, I'm pushing them to talk to each other. And so like, that's like one of my big things of like integrations, of course. But then when it comes back to like the customer experience, my whole thing is like, I want to deliver convenience and I want to anticipate needs. And I've said this before, but I'm trying to be 10,000 steps in front of my customer at all points, at all times. So whether it's answering a question or making sure that like a tool is working correctly, I'm always operating with being 10,000 steps in front of them. And I really try to take an approach of like all of these tools is like, how is the user experiencing this? Not like, yes, the customer, I purchased it, but how is the user experiencing this product? And is this product seamless for us? That's what I care about. And then, lastly, like as much as I like survey and do all these things and I feedback loop into the company, I'm also surveying and analyzing data that's coming from every one of our tools that we're using to constantly make new iterations of that experience. For instance, Erin, you'll actually love this one. We utilize Wonderment as our post-purchase tracking, right? Order tracking. And I was finding that there was like a lot of conversions, a lot of interactions on this page, but I was like, hey, how can I integrate an upsell that's based on a personalization of that service? So I have integrated Rebuy into my Wonderment order tracking experience. And now I'm seeing these personalizations in like the upsell, right? So I'm just like pointing out, it's like every tool can interact with each other, but also like, how do you push the limits and making sure that you're constantly like personalizing these experiences and creating a seamless experience?
I love that. Then opening up to like some of, the technology partners, what are some of those integrations that, you guys see really enhancing that post-purchase experience? And I'll just open it up to whoever wants to chime in there.
Yeah, I'll go first. So with our integrations, especially with ESP providers and SMS, we're able to help grow the list seamlessly. So when people enter in their email, they opt into future emails. Now they're going into their marketing emails. And so it's not just about the referral and telling them about, hey, Yvette's referring you to this great offer, but it's about putting them into the brand's mix so that they can continue to service them and market to them and really educate that customer.
I think, Jess, you said it really nicely. It's not just about the customer, it's about the user. It's about creating that seamless experience. You know, when you're evaluating your tech stack, that should be a priority. It should be understanding if your technology tools integrate with one another, if all of these best of breed tech apps work with one another, because at the end of the day, you do want to make sure that you're looking at that data holistically and that you're able to make decisions, you know, to your Postscript campaigns because of what you're hearing on Okendo, or you're making product recommendations with Rebuy because of the feedback or maybe the data you're collecting with Okendo. So just different things to be able to action insights and make changes to your marketing strategy. That's super, super important. Making sure, again, we talked about, you know, talking to your customers, communicating with them through the channel that they've expressed wanting to be communicated through. And that is also through those integrations that you have. So super important.
Yeah, I would add over here, like, super important when evaluating any technologies to understand like how this is going to play with your existing stack. And it might, you know, cause you to question like, okay, is my existing stack the right stack right now too? But really, really important for brands to understand, okay, like, is this going to work with my SMS, my email? Is this something that's going to be able to surface, you know, my reviews, my UGC? Is it something that's going to be able to take advantage of that data to have it kind of work in the way that we want it to work too? So yeah, I think really echoing kind of what the rest of the panelists and what Jess has been saying here too, you know, using all of that data and figuring out how it all ties together to allow for this like seamless, really excellent customer experience.
I think one thing, Jess, I love that you said is like, if you don't think that they integrate, like force them to integrate. And I think that's so important. And just advice I wish I had when I was on the brand side is come to the SaaS providers that you're using and kind of share creative ideas. I think an example that I can think of is we had a brand they sell pet related products. And so we didn't have a natural thing for pet name. Like that wasn't something we were pulling in because that's a very small percentage, but we were able to, you know, create a custom property and then pull that into a message so we can say like, hey, Fido is now due for a refill instead of referring to the owner's name, but actually the pet's name. And so I think that that's really important is like, you know, we might advertise the best or most common ways that two technologies might integrate with one another, but there's always out of the box creative ideas you can do that somebody else might not have thought of. And so, yeah, just coming to your providers and asking how they might be able to pull two things that seemingly might not really go together is really powerful. And Jess, I know you've done that at Postscript and we're super grateful.
Great. I love that. Well, we've got 10 minutes left. Just wanted to kind of wrap this up. So going to all of our speakers, you know, if you could leave one final tip. So what is kind of like the table stakes tip you could leave everyone in this audience to have that seamless post-purchase experience? So Jess, I'll kick it off to you to start on this one.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we've talked a lot about like personalizing things. My biggest hill that I'm going to be on and the final tip is listen to your customers. Your customers are literally screaming at you. I wouldn't say screaming at you, but they can be screaming at you. They are offering you information. If a customer, whether you're new or repeat, if they're purchasing from you, they are invested in your brand. They can offer you so much information on like what's going to push you for the future, how do you make more conversions, like all of these things. My biggest thing, personalizing and listening to your customers and creating a feedback loop wherever you can.
I love that. And then Yvette, what's your last tip?
Yeah, I would say that as part of the post-purchase journey, don't just think of it as the immediate, I've completed purchase and what you're showing on the screen. It's about layering in what's on your invoice, what's on your packaging. How do you remind that customer to come back to you and that you have other products, other ways to earn discounts, other ways to refer people to write reviews and provide UGC, because closing that loop and touching them in every place will allow you to ensure that you get them to come back.
Sorry, I lost my mute button for a second, but Aaron, what's your final tip?
Yeah, leverage the data that you have existing and get tools that can leverage that data to make the post-purchase experience better, whether that's getting the right messaging there, getting the right products to those customers, really just wanting to make it as frictionless as possible. And as Jess mentioned, like staying 10,000 steps ahead of the customer in that journey.
Great. I love that. And then Karen.
Yeah, I just first have to echo what Yvette said of like that post-purchase down to packaging, things like that. I've gotten packages from brands who I know are making 10, 20, $30 million and it's so generic and it's a total loss, but something you can recoup. I would say with Postscript, SMS is a really unique platform. And I think that more brands could benefit from texting people like they text their friends. So taking advantage of the speediness and instantaneous communication tool that SMS is. An example I would say is, Super Bowl's coming up. I'm hoping for a 49ers Super Bowl myself. And so texting during Super Bowl, hey, who are you rooting for? Like text back 1 for 49ers, text back 2 for whoever else might make it. And then text them after the game, like, I'm sorry your team lost to the 49ers this year. Here's a discount code to like make you feel better, or, congratulations that 49ers, your team won. Like, here's my favorite red and gold products to celebrate the victory. That's really hard to do on other channels, but something that would take, 10 minutes or less to whip up on text.
I love that. Just for everyone on this webinar, if the 49ers win or lose, we have to send Kara a text congratulating her or reminding her.
Thank you. I'll send you a Postscript discount code if you do.
Love that. And then Adena, last but not least, what is your final table stakes tip?
Yeah, I just want to say, Kara, that's such a cute idea. And I feel like, it's really important to not just put offers in front of your customers all the time or, throw discounts at them, but to really have a fun, friendly, light conversation. Like, hey, can you believe who won that last Grammy? Like, text 1 if you're happy with it, 2 if you're not, whatever it is, like sports games, any sort of thing that I think is popular in our society and culture. It's really fun to have a play on that. As far as my biggest tip with Okendo, obviously we've talked about it this entire webinar. The post-purchase channel is a highly engaged, really important channel in the customer journey. So I would recommend top tip, top strategy, set up a post-purchase survey. Could be any type, but it's really important to use this channel to collect that data, whether that's through Net Promoter Score, which I know, Jess, you talked a lot about that, whether it's a marketing channel attribution survey to understand where your sales are coming from, what marketing channels. It's not just about capturing that data as well in the post-purchase stage, but using that data to better improve the experiences or to personalize the experience for future customers. So that's my tip.
I love that. I feel like, the biggest takeaways, the biggest themes that we've got is just, listen to your customers, get that feedback, personalize the experience, but also do it within, the means of your brand and what feels authentic to your brand and to you. And just, really taking that feedback loop week over week, meeting your customers where they are. And that's ultimately going to drive a lot of retention and future sales. So with that, I know we have a few minutes left. We'll let you guys all go a little bit early so that you can start implementing some of these post-purchase strategies right away. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you so much to our panelists for sharing all of your insights today. As I said, we'll be sending out a recording of the webinar within 24 hours. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to any of the panelists here. They can all be found on LinkedIn, or we can get you the recording and you can reach out and we can put you in touch with anyone as well. So thank you so much, everyone, and have a great rest of your afternoon.